Hey everybody, Stu Smith here, going live, taking some questions and giving some answers. And what I am going to talk about before we get rolling here with people asking questions, letting people gather, is bringing your A game. And what does that actually mean? I'm actually writing an article that you'll see later today on StuSmithFitness.com, just the article section. It'd be top one listed. Um, and bringing your A game, yeah, we've all gone through projects, or maybe it was a school project, or maybe pushing through the last few minutes of a long, hard, exhausting event, a game, sporting event, something like that, or accomplishing a really challenging activity, whether it's a long race or a selection event, whatever. There are moments where you have to bring your A game. Yes, there is a certain level of preparation that allows you to be able to endure these type of challenges. However, there are some events where you have to know before you go into it that this is going to be tough and I need to put out maybe a little more than expected. Now, this has nothing to do with um, what's that old saying where you don't rise to the occasion, you fall back to your lowest level of training. That usually, is referring to tactical training, right? Like you're not going to be a better shooter, miraculously. However, when it comes to a physical event or something that you have to endure just to get done, there there's a mindset going into it that will help you endure that a little better. And that's what I call bring in your A game. So for instance, I've seen many, many times people go into um, people go into events like a treading test, let's say a 10-minute tread, and they go into it thinking, oh yeah, 10-minute tread, that's easy, hadn't really done one before, but treading's not hard, right? Then they go through this tread, they got their hands out of the water, and the next thing you know, they're like, oh crap, this is hard. And they weren't mentally prepared for the suck that follows. So that's what I mean by if you can just go in there and say, this is going to suck. And I need to bring my A game to this 10-minute event because it's going to suck. It helps you get through it. I have seen people fail that event specifically and then the next day go in and pass it because they knew it sucked and they were mentally ready to make it work for them. Does that make sense? Same for me when every week there was a 4-mile timed run. And I wasn't worried about failing it. That wasn't part of my issue. Like it was 32 minutes in first phase for a 4-mile run. Oh yeah, you're in boots and pants and on the beach, but it slowed you down a little bit, but not that much. But I knew I had to put out on that event in order to score well. And I was somewhere between, you know, 27, 28 minutes most of the time. I think my best ever hit was like 26:30 in third phase or something. But, each phase it gets a little harder. So it drops from 32 to 31 to 30 in third phase. Once again, if you're shooting for 28, that's not a big deal. And for me, 28 was kind of a challenge. It was something that I couldn't easily do. I knew I had to bring my A game to that event. And I think that is something that a lot of people don't really consider when they are going through a preparation journey or actual the selection itself. And they become overwhelmed with the actual event at hand versus just thinking a little bit before the event, saying, okay, you know, I'm a strength and power guy running may be a little more challenging for me. I need to bring my mental mindset, and A game to this event. If you're more of an endurance person and your weakness is strength, but you've worked hard to build it up to it's not so much of a weakness. That's what we're doing. You're always going to have some kind of weakness compared to your strength. And the goal of preparation is to take whatever weakness you have. That means being honest with yourself and doing things you may not particularly like to do in order to make it less of a weakness. So, um, if you're an endurance guy, log PT is about to suck and it's going to hurt. But as long as you know that going in, you can mentally prepare for that and not be shocked that all of a sudden this hurts, or not be shocked that all of a sudden treading you feel like you're drowning, or you're not shocked that this 4 mile timed run is crushing you, right? You are actually bringing that A game to that event. So that's what I'm writing an article on, trying to get some specifics on, some 4 instances to better explain it. So it's still cooking in my brain right now, but I just wanted to share that with you while we get people on before we ask and answer questions. Monday is usually my weekend preview. So let me just tell you about my week that I have set up for myself as well as my guys. Today was the classic workout, the PT pyramid. However, we upped it a notch. We still went 1 to 10 back down to 1. However, pull-ups, we challenged it by trying to go up by 2 instead of by 1. So that's a 200 rep workout for pull-ups if you try to multiply each set by 2, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, all the way up to 20, back down to 2. But the rule was try to do as many as you could at the high end of the zone, like 1 to 2. Push-ups were 2 to 3, sit-ups were 3, dips were 1 to 2. So at the end, you came in somewhere between 1 and 200 push-ups or pull-ups. You came in between 2 and 300 push-ups. You came about 300 sit-ups, and you did somewhere between 100 and 200 dips. If you were somewhere, bouncing between the low end and the high end of those 19 sets. However, every set you had to run 400 meters. Or if you didn't want to run every set, you could run every odd set and do it at 800 meters. But at the end, you accumulated about 5 miles of running. That's 19 quarters, so 4.75 miles. With some warm-up jogs, came out to about 5 miles. And now, after that, probably at lunch, we're going to do the 50-50. However, instead of 50-50, we're going to do a 75-75. So it's 75 free, followed by 75 CSS. Going to go through that 10 times, get 1,500 yards out of it, call it a day, go do some cool down stuff and move on, get ready for the next day. On Tuesday, it's our hill day. We're going to be mixing in some squats and lunges, some fireman carries up the hill, and then swimming with fins afterwards. Wednesday is my favorite day of the week. It is mobility day, where we just stretch, we foam roll, we do some easy non-impact cardio, but afterwards we really hit the technique of swimming and pool competency. So we do treading and drown proofing and knot tying and all the little things that require some technique and some practice to, get a little better at doing. So it's kind of an easy technique day. Recovery/technique day is what we do. We call it mobility day. Thursday is another upper body day. One thing I like to throw in there every few weeks is what I call death by push-ups. It is a 10-minute plank or up push-up position. And every minute on the minute, you do 10 push-ups. Not that easy. It sounds horrible, but it's not that it's not impossible either. I have teenage kids doing this, quite often. And the first time they ever do it, they're shocked that they did a 10-minute plank or up push-up position. But I've had a lot of people say, I'm so glad I did those 10-minute planks because we were in the push-up position forever. And that was, keeping your back straight, was a challenge. And, as long as you practice that a little bit, it's not that much of a challenge. Our Thursday is more of a weight vest day. Not a whole lot of running on Thursday because we got 2 days following that's going to be a lot of running. Probably run about 3 miles on Thursday, but we get weight vest pull-ups, push-ups, mix in some sit-ups and flutter kicks in there, and then swim. One of my new favorite swim workouts is 5 300s. So you warm up with a 500, and then you do 5 300s at your goal pace, which I try to get everybody a yard per second. Neat thing about 300 yards, that's 300 seconds. You can time it perfectly on your watch at 5 minutes. So where are you in a 5-minute set? Are you at that 300 yard or meter mark? That's a good goal pace check for you to see if you're on that yard per second pace, which will yield an 820 at the end of a 500-yard swim. Good workout. A lot of people are hating that one, to be quite honest. Friday, we're doing a Spec Ops try. We did a Spec Ops try last Friday too, but we only did 2 miles run, 2-mile ruck. I think it was an 800-meter swim. This week, it's a 3-mile run, 3-mile ruck, 1,500-meter swim. Next week, it'll be a 4-mile run, 4-mile ruck, 2,000-meter swim. So it's just a Spec Ops try progression this month. And then on, let's see, day 6, which is Saturday, we're doing a full body day, running a mile with 400-meter lunges. We're also doing 400-meter lunges on day 2, which is our leg day, hill day. One thing I like about 400-meter lunges is to see if you can not be sore the next day when you do it. Most of us are for the first month that you do them once or twice a week. And then after about a month, you are no longer sore after lunging nonstop for 400 meters. It's a good little challenge and build up to just really creating some good muscle stamina for you. And if you're kind of banged up and can't run, it's a really good way to help you maintain your leg stamina for when you can run again. It's like a full body thing, almost like a Murph with some extra exercises. Pull-ups, push-ups. We add push press in there, flutter kicks, and squats. We run a mile every set of that. So you probably get about 5 or 6 miles on that workout with a lot of full body activity. And then we just do a 30-minute swim, 10-minute tread. And then one of my favorite things to do is about 5 to 10 minutes of dynamic stretches in chest deep water. If you want to end every swim workout with that, I promise you that is up there with the mobility day as being life changing. If you have tight hips, it really works well. Tight knees, it's just something that you can really move through the water really well, have some resistance in there, and really help you with some overall hip mobility and stability strengthening too. So that is my week in advance. That's my plan, and that's the article I'm going to finish writing today. Should be pretty good. I wrote one on this weekend that should be up on military.com, and it's all about, in fact, one of you guys gave me the idea last week about running cues. So I came up with a really good, what's a good word for it? A good set of cues that you can use for a variety of different things, from breathing, from arm swing, your stride, your head and shoulders running tall, knees and hips, high kick, back kick, and knees up front, opening up your stride, a slight forward lean. I'll explain it more in the article. Foot strike, all of those things are brought up in this article. I'll share it on social media today as well once they post it. But yeah, I wrote that yesterday, writing another one today on um, bringing your A game. So, all right, so let's go to questions. Tomorrow, by the way, we'll do the same thing. We'll do some questions and we'll do some CSS critiques. I posted a pretty funny CSS critique on my Instagram, Stu Smith 50 today. Check it out. It's just funny. It's one of those Monday funnies. Starting to add music to my CSSs just to mess around with people. Um, hey Stu, hope you enjoyed your weekend. For those of us considering Army SF who are already running a lot in strength training, what rucking progression plan do you suggest? My suggestion is don't ruck too much. Um, Ruck on your leg days. So any days that you do squats or deadlifts or lunges, add a ruck to it. So my guys that are adding more rucks, what they'll do is like I just mentioned my swim workouts. Instead of swimming with fins, the Army guys will go ruck. The Navy, Marine guys, MARSOC guys, recon guys will swim with fins. Air Force will swim with fins. Um, Sometimes they'll do both. They'll ruck and swim with fins. So it's up to you. I think swimming with fins and rucking are a great way to top off leg day. So let's say you're just not quite into having a ruck on. You maybe nursing something, maybe a back muscle or something that's kind of tweaked. That's a good substitute for rucking is swimming with a big pair of fins on. You don't have to be good at it. Just lay on your back and do a whole bunch of flutter kicks. That is a really good way to work the hips, um, work the legs and ankles, and you will see a pretty good um, way to substitute rucking. But we only ruck on leg days. Or if you notice this week, we had an extra ruck in there on a Spec Ops triathlon. So we run, we ruck, and we swim all in the same day, and that's our workout. So 3 times max if you do both leg days and like a cardio only day, but 2 is sufficient. Progression, I would suggest. I actually have a rucking progression article here. Just has some rules of rucking in there. Everything from foot care. I'm going to put this article in the comment section here. Check this out and see if that helps. But for what most people do is, let's say you're on a running program, is just replace your longest runs of the week. Let's say you do a long, slow distance run on Saturday. Just replace that with a ruck. So you do your longer ones with a ruck. So, good question. In your experience, how do older candidates tend to fare in buds and SFAS? Well, it depends on what you mean by older. Over 30, it's usually a recovery issue for them, obviously not a maturity issue or can't do it. It's usually a failure, inability to recover fast enough for the next day. So you got to really have your A game. There's another way to bring your A game on recovery. That means getting the sleep when you can, licking your wounds when you can, stretching, foam rolling, eating well, hydrating, electrolytes. All of those things have to be in perfect sync in order for you to recovery. In fact, I wrote a couple of articles on uh, the mastery or the optimal performance is the mastery of recovery. But I wrote another article saying that longevity is the mastery of recovery. So check out those 2 articles and you'll see some really good tips on actively pursuing recovery, because that is what's going to make the difference, young or old, to be honest with you. But the older guys tend to do well. It's the younger guys that do not, believe it or not. They're just, some of them haven't even finished growing yet if they're in their early teens, or sorry, late teens, even early 20s. and just need to finish puberty because their bones are still soft and stuff. Anyway, it's a maturity issue for most people. All right, next question. Is running with a ruck loaded running a bad idea? Have no problem maintaining 12, 13-minute miles while walking, but often seen people ruck running in videos online. You know what? I'm not a fan of it. However, there's a way to pick up the pace from 12 to 13 and try to hit between 9 and 10. And what I call it is it's a short stride shuffle versus actually running your normal running stride. Because a lot of people, if you're running your normal running stride, it's a you have a you have a good chance of just creating a lot of stress injuries, because hitting with another 30 or 40, 50 pounds, on a normal running stride can be stressful. However, people do it. I'm just not a fan of it. I tend to do a shorter stride, higher tempo cadence, um, of my stride to shorten my stride so I'm not overstriding, hitting on my heels, or doing anything like that. I am like more midfoot, um, short stride shuffle is what I call it. In fact, I have three paces. I do one like a normal walk. I probably get like 14, 15-minute miles. I'll do a power walk where I'll be around 12 or 13, like you just mentioned. And that's a focused walk. I mean, it's moving with a purpose, but you're walking. And then the other one is a short stride shuffle where I can tend to get 9 to 10 minutes. I've seen guys get 8 to 9 minutes with a short stride shuffle too. So it's very possible, depending on your cadence, you can pick that pace up a little bit. But it looks like you're running, but it's just a shorter stride version of your run. Try that. Let me know how you do. So I would do this. I'd do a walk for a mile, do your power walk for a mile, and then do a short stride shuffle for a mile, and notice the three differences. Now you have three paces that you can use as a strategy for really long rucks. So if you're going for a 20 miler, for instance, you're not going to short stride shuffle that whole thing. You know, you may for most of it, but you're going to need some recovery time. And now you can calculate, all right, I'm running pretty well right now. I can take the next, you know, 5.5 minutes or whatever, and do my, work on my pace, you know, recovery, and then pick it back up again. So you can use those different paces as a strategy. Let's see. Another question. Hey Joe, you don't have to start every question with a dumb question comment. These are not dumb questions. These are fine. Kicking off the wall is such an important part of CS. Do you advise a dolphin kick at the end of it, or should we try to keep our streamline and just use the double arm pull? It's up to you. That is a preference thing. I have seen a couple of instructors, and this isn't a written part of the procedures for testing. I've seen some instructors say you can't do dolphin kicks off the wall. Some don't care. So I'm not sure, some of these arbitrary rules many of these instructors come up with are just to see how you handle arbitrary rules that are different than the way you've been training. But I would be able to do both. I personally, if you look at that CSS video I just made, well, it's one of me swimming for like just the kick off the wall and a few strokes with a funny comment in there, a funny audio segment. But notice when I kick off the wall, I'm super streamlined, can go really fast off the wall, try to get those biceps on your ears and your elbows straight. And I tend to do a dolphin kick right before my double arm pull. It just feels good when you do it that way. I think a lot of people screw up. They do the double arm pull and then they try a dolphin kick and it just looks awkward, doesn't really go anywhere. So I tend to use the dolphin kick as a way to grab more water and just pull it down. So double arm pull or a dolphin kick right before your double arm pull, if you're going to do it. But I made a video of it. It's the latest one up on Instagram right now, and you'll see it. Let's see. Can you recommend a possible program to run right after Rasp? I recently was med drop because of worm PT and was wondering how to exercise moving forward. Thanks. Kind of depends on your strengths and weaknesses. My suggestion is probably do a block periodization model, um, like either one of these. Spring training if you need to work on more calisthenics and cardio, but maintain your strength. That has a 3-week cals, 1-week strength training, running deload for 16 weeks. I think this one is just the opposite. 3 weeks of strength, 1 week of calisthenics and cardio that helps you maintain your calisthenics and running times. Now, depending on your injury, probably leg, I would imagine it's probably preventing you from running, perhaps. If that's the case, you're going to have to replace all the runs, all the rucks with some non-impact activity like biking or swimming or rowing or whatever you can do. You still want to make sure you're able to hit those cardio events with something. And what I typically do is I have let's say I have a 4-mile run I have to do, or 4 total miles in a workout that might be spread out with 1-mile intervals or something like that. What I will do is I'll do a 10 minutes of non-impact cardio for every mile that I do. That also means 5 minutes of non-impact cardio for every 500 or 800 meter or half mile that I have to do. So that tends to be my ratio for replacing running with a non-impact cardio activity. So there you go. Let's see. I work overnights. I hate to miss your show. Yeah, no problem. I should be sleeping, but not when you're on. Oh, very nice. Your show just feels like home. Oh, well, thank you very much. Very nice. I try to be nice. Every now and then I get stupid questions, but I, still try to be nice as much as I can. Hey, Stu, I've never rucked before, but been running and lifting for a while. How far should I be rucking to start out? Great question. Training for buds. Here's something interesting. They have taken away rucking from first phase. You will ruck second and third phase or do some more load bearing. But rucking on the beach, if you can find the beach, is a really good way to prepare your legs for boat carries on the beach and log PT on the beach. Because you'll be running with a log, up on your chest. Get a sandbag and do that. That's another load bearing activity. You'll be lunging with a log, sandbag on your chest. Practice lunging. That's why we do those 400-meter lunges. Eventually, the next level of that progression is to, do it with a sandbag. I would do this. Build up to about 25% of your body weight. And eventually you want to build up to about 40 to 50 pounds. So let's say you're a 200-pound guy. Don't start off with, 50 pounds. Maybe start off with 25 or 30. And then each week add 5 pounds. In a month or two, you'll be at that 50-pound mark. I think most rucks at Buds are in between 45 and 50 pounds. So, build up to that for sure, no matter what your body weight is. But starting out, I would say probably 15% of your body weight might be a good place to start, somewhere in there. And then each week add 5 pounds. Same way you would do a running progression. You start off, with like a mile a day for, for your first week, and then progress, so that's 5 miles in a week and progress 15% each week with a running program. That's just a generic running program for people who are trying to run. Where people screw up is they start off with a 5-mile run the first day, and then they wonder why they have shin splints and knee tendonitis. So that's what we're trying to avoid. So same with rucking. nice steady progression. How do you keep yourself mentally resilient throughout your career? Good question. Um, I didn't stay in for 20 years. So one could argue that maybe I was not mentally resilient to stay in for 20 years. I did almost 8 years. That's a tough one. You got to love your work. You got to have a stable home life. There's a whole lot that goes into that. It's a great job. You do get burned out at times being away, 7 to 9 months a year. If you're trying to have any amount of personal life on the outside, becomes a juggling act, and it's very challenging. I think that's probably where a lot of people have some battles, right? And that it either ends in divorce or with one or the other. You're either going to get out or you're going to get divorced. However, that's just a a population that is in that job. There are people who can do both and stay happily married for the entire time they're in. In fact, I have friends of mine that are still in since 1991, and so that's 31 years, still in, still married, great kids. Unique thing about SEAL teams is, for the most part, you can spend a majority of your career in really two places, Virginia Beach or Coronado, California. Now, yeah, you can be in Hawaii, you can be at other units and other jobs, even Fort Bragg, if you're going on the JSOC side. So there are other places where you could be living, but at the same time, that is usually the battle, I think. Um, I don't have a good answer for you on that one. Sorry. As 300-pound power lifter who wants to get down to 191. Woo! Any tips for my journey? It's going to be a long journey. Give yourself a good year and a half to be able to lose that kind of weight. Personally, you're strong enough, right? Weightlifting is something that is probably um, keeping a lot of mass on you. So I would literally focus on your weaknesses, which are probably muscle stamina and in calisthenics and cardio activity. And at 300 pounds, I wouldn't be running a lot. I would be doing mostly walking. Because if you think about it, if you want to get down to 191 and you're at 300, you are already rucking. So go for a walk. That's like 100-pound ruck you got on there. So walking burns a lot of calories, and that's what you got to be focused on, burning calories. Non-impact cardio burns a lot of calories. Get in the water. It's zero gravity. That's going to be, your joints will thank you for, events like biking and rowing, elliptical and swimming. That's where most of your calories are going to be spent. And then, start focusing on the calisthenics. And pull-ups are going to be hard at 300 pounds. But if you can do any pull-up at 300 pounds, that's impressive. Wait till you get to 191 pounds. That's going to be an amazing uh, pull-up challenge or pull-up opportunity when you can do 300-pound pull-ups and you weigh 100 pounds less. I've seen guys, be able to do one or two pull-ups at like 280, 290, and then when they got down to 200, we're cranking out sets of 20, no problem. So you've got the strength. Now let's build some muscle stamina and endurance. And that's what I would just focus on, eating less and moving more. But that program you have there is a good one. I would also suggest, let me see, this is a really good one too for what you're trying to do. If I have a copy, I may not have a copy. I may have let somebody borrow it. calisthenics and cardio. So I don't have a copy here, but check out calisthenics and cardio on StuSmithFitness.com. It has a good beginner, intermediate, and advanced section. Um, that might be a good one for you after you do the beginner intermediate plan at the Navy SEAL Fitness workout. Yeah, yeah, 8 minutes with weight. Yeah, that's pretty nuts. Um, let's see. What's up, Eric? I'm training for the Air Force Special Warfare Pipeline, and your 50/50 has helped me a lot for my 500. Below 8 minutes at the night. Nice, good job. At the moment, I've been wondering if you have any videos on fin swimming. I do. If you go on this YouTube channel, you'll find many swim videos. I also have a few on the TikTok. In fact, let me show you that address. You guys can see this TikTok, Stu Smith 50. There's some swim videos on there as well. And I discuss how to do those too. Yeah. All you got to do is Google it, put my name in the search, and you'll see me coaching somebody and with swimming with fins. I'll try to put some up. I think I'm swimming with fins. Usually on leg days, once again, we swim with fins. So tomorrow's our leg day. I'll get some new swim videos and post them up on, maybe I'll do a special one on YouTube, but I'll definitely post it up on Instagram and TikTok. Ship an 18 X-ray in 2 weeks. Been following you for years. Really appreciate everything you do. Do you have any last minute tips for success? Yeah, the 18 X-ray pipeline, you got to go through boot camp. That's a long thing. Infantry training school. It's going to be all at Fort Benning. Then you go to airborne. Make sure whenever you have opportunities, um, keep training. You'll have some more time during during airborne before you get into selection, and they have some selection prep and things like that as well. If you have 2 weeks, there's not a whole lot you can really do in the last 2 weeks as far as physically prepare. Just mentally prepare yourself. Like, think of ways that you can bring your A game, for instance, to certain events. Things you could do is if you could find a land nav course, have somebody teach you some land navigation. That will come in very handy in your very near future. They will teach it to you in your Army training as well, but if you can have a little bit of a foundation before you end, that learning curve's a little less steep, and you can go in and start crushing it. So, yeah, that's what I would do. If you've been doing some pretty good programs for a few years, I think you're ready, man. Just go in recovered and go crush some basic. And good luck. Let us know how you do. Um, what should our rest time be for the 50/50? And does a 1-to-1 work ratio inhibit our swimming? Yeah, you don't want a 1-to-1 work ratio. Last thing you need is swim for 50 seconds and rest for 50 seconds. That's not the goal at all. In fact, it's just the opposite. My goal is for people to be able to do that 50 free hard, get really winded, unsustainably winded, but then catch your breath during that 50 CSS. That's your ultimate rest right there. Now, in between sets, if you need a couple of breaths, 10 seconds max, boom, go. That's the goal of the 50/50 workout. The last thing you want to do is be resting for a minute a set. Yeah, that completely negates the process of getting in swimming shape for swimming a 500. What do you make of adventure races, ultras for those prepping for Navy or SOF selections? Adventure races, fun. Obstacle races, fun. I'd recommend doing them. Ultras, not necessary. Um, even marathons. I mean, marathons are actually, out of all the events, half marathons probably your best option. You know, it some of those runs put a hurting on you, right? And I've seen it so many times. In fact, I've always given this brief to people who are going to go do the JFK 50 miler or the there's a couple of can't remember the name of a couple of 100-mile runs around here that some of my guys do, and I know they're not physically prepared for it. They're using it as a tool to get mentally tougher. And here's the thing with mental toughness is like one big event that breaks you is not going to make you mentally tougher. In fact, you'll probably be depressed because you can't run for the next 3 months because you got stress fractures and you got to be riding a bike and you can't run anymore. So I usually do this. I say, all right, so you're going to run 100 miles this weekend. All right, I'm not. I'm going to run 25 miles a week for the next 2 months. All right, so I'll get 200 miles roughly in the next 2 months. And I bet you I will run more than you in the next 2 months. So 9 times out of 10, it never fails. That guy runs 100 miles. He's broken. He's got stress fractures in his feet, stress fractures in his shins, bad knee tendonitis, whatever. I saw one guy had to get hip surgery after doing an ultra, and that took him out for like 6 months. So inevitably, I will always run more by staying at 25 miles a week than someone who does a 100-mile race and ends up broken. Now, if you can prepare properly for them, I'm all for it. But don't just do it on a whim thinking you're going to make yourself tough because you're going to make yourself broke. I always say this, there's a fine line between mental toughness and stupidity. Anything that breaks you is stupid because I think you're going to build mental toughness every single day, one scoop at a time, running for 4 or 5 miles for 25 miles a week or more. If you want to run more, that's fine. Versus one big run where you, just suck it up, for 10 hours or whatever and wind up broken. So that's my opinion on those things. I love obstacle course races. I love adventure races. I love 12 miles and under races, so half marathons, great. Anything that we do here locally is fine for all of those things. Ultras, it's not something in our running plan. You're going to have to add extra running to your day. If you're going to do that and you want to build up logically, maybe build up to a marathon first, then do yourself, go into an ultra or something like that. But progress logically in those things. Those things just break you and then you're screwed up. I tell the same thing to triathletes too. You guys that are always on a bike, on a road bike, especially if you're 6 months out before shipping, guess what? Road bikes get hit by cars. People die, on a road bike, riding, get on a stationary bike, do your bike riding. That's much safer. Last thing you want to do is be broken 6 months out before you ship. Then you can't ship, or maybe even you're so bad you got hip surgery, you get disqualified from shipping. I've written an article on that one. Things that can ruin your spec ops dreams before they even start. It's up on Stu Smith Fitness. That's one of them. To clarify my questions earlier, is there a way you kept yourself mentally tough during training, such as drown proofing or on deployments when you're sleep deprived? What did I tell myself? Good question. Once again, it's kind of like bringing your A game. I knew I practiced enough for drown proofing. I knew now whenever it was test time, it's not much different than playing sports. You practice all week, all the plays that you're going to run on Friday night, and you play a football game and it's game time. You get the same amount of adrenaline and nervousness and butterflies and all those things. It's very similar to that. So if you're used to that kind of game time challenge, it's not that big a deal. You just say, hey, I practiced for this. It's game time. Let's get it done. Right. And you bring your A game, you go crush it. Um, so that is part of preparation. As far as deployments, those were just fun. There wasn't a whole lot that you had to do. When you're sleep deprived, you took naps. There wasn't a whole lot you needed to tell yourself. There were a couple times when, you're sitting out in the middle of the ocean waiting on a submarine to pick you up. That sucks. It made me realize that I never want to be lost at sea. Luckily, a submarine has really good sonar and they can find you. A spot in the middle of the ocean, even if you're a mile off your rendezvous point because you ran out of gas, they can still find you. But yeah, there's just some things that occur that make you a little tougher, but also definitely make you prepare better the next time. So I don't really know what to tell you. By that time, the mental toughness game is really not something you need to worry about. It's there. You just do it. That's the beauty of working on a SEAL team is everybody's freaking tough. You are not the toughest guy in the room anymore. You're not the smartest guy in the room anymore. That's the beauty of that world. Well, thank you very much, Luke. I appreciate that. Do you recommend doing any kind of programming along with Bud's prep, like cows and cardio, since you don't do much of those? I would, yeah. In fact, I've written an article on that. I swear, some of you guys ask some of these questions. I guarantee you, if you just go to Google, ask that question, and put my name in it, I've probably written an article about it. In fact, I'm going to share it here real quick as soon as I find it. It's in fact, it is called Adding Workouts to Spec War Prep or Rollback Recycle Training. So, yes, written an article on that. Check it out. Sometimes it's needed, sometimes it's not. It just depends. I've only seen CSS with fins. Maybe you have without CSS. I'm not sure what that question is, sir. I have CSS with fins. I have CSS without fins. I'm not in the business of showing much other strokes other than underwater swimming and drown proofing. Every now and then I'll show some freestyle, but I don't coach freestyle. How do I integrate swimming into my fitness program for AvSpec War when I'm competent in the water but no competitive or training? Get on a plan. Put it this way, my plans have swimming 5 to 6 days a week. Your workout should end with a swim workout. 50-50 is a good place to start. But you just have to get in swimming shape. In fact, you feel pretty confident in the water, but need to get in swimming shape, there's an article especially for you. It's called Dude, You Need to Get in Swimming Shape. Yeah. Like I said, add swimming to every single day. It should be secondary part of your workout, if not the actual end of a workout. Usually we do this. We run, we PT, we do rucking, we do legs, do upper body, lower body. And then afterwards we swim. Now, because of pool availability, sometimes I can't swim immediately after my PT run lift workouts. So I'll swim at lunchtime. In fact, today at 1 p.m., I will be swimming and doing a 75-75. So it's like a 50-50 with some little bit harder sets. Let's see. I found a lot of info on BUDS, Army SF training, but not a lot on Air Force Special Ops. Do you have any insight on what that's like? Boats, logs, timed runs, swims. I have a training program for it. As far as what it's like, yes, you'll be doing logs. You'll be doing timed runs. You'll be doing rucks. You'll be a lot of swimming. Your pool competency is very challenging. You'll be doing some buddy breathing, treading with one snorkel. You got to share a snorkel with your buddy. Very hard test. You'll be drown proofing like at Buds. You'll be swimming with fins. They do a lead arm, trail arm version of the side stroke with fins versus an actual pulling of the arms. You just leave your arm there. Basically, you're turtle backing, but on your side. One arm stays down by your waist, one arm stays over your head, and you just flutter kick the whole time. Got to get used to that with big rocket fins or jet fins on. Yeah. There's the IFT that you have to take, which is pull-ups, sit-ups, push-ups, mile-and-a-half run, and a 500-meter swim, along with two 25-meter underwater. So the IFT you have to take, and you have to take the OFT. The OFT, Air Force, in fact, I will put this in here for you. Air Force, OFT. Let me see, where'd it go? Dang it. Yeah, the Air Force. Let me see if I can find the description of this one. Dang it. Air Force, Special Warfare, OFT, which stands for Operator Test. Check out this one. It will have everything in there from, let me see. I think has a deadlift, has pull-ups in there. Oh, here it is, right here. Perfect. So the IFT, like I said, pull up, sit up, push ups, run, mile, and swim. The OFT is a 3 mile ruck, standing long jump, agility test, a 5-10-5 agility test, trap bar deadlift, pull ups, farmer carry sprint. So you got two 53-pound kettlebells in your hands, and you run 50 yards back and 50 yards down, 50 yards back. Pretty sure that's the way it works. I don't think it's 100 yards straight, but could be. Either way, just learn to run 100 yards. 300-yard shuttle run, that's 12:25. You'll do that twice, and then a 1,500-meter swim with fins, and that can be side stroke, CSS, or lead arm, trail arm. Or you have a choice of running a mile and a half instead of swimming 1,500 meters. It's up to you on that one. But that is the OFT. So check out those things. Got a lot on it. In fact, my Air Force Special Ops workout has IFT and OFT preparation in it as well. So good questions. All right. So almost an hour. I can take a few more questions if you have them. If I've missed them, send them again. And if I've missed them, you can just send them to me at stu@stusmith.com. Happy to answer them over email. If you guys have any CSS videos you want me to critique, send them to me. You can either send them to me by email, stu@stusmith.com, or you can DM them to me on my Instagram. That seems to be able to handle a 1 minute video. So if you do a 50-yard swim or a 50-meter swim, should be able to hold the whole thing in there. Send that way. But when you do send them, it is helpful if you just turn the phone sideways and have somebody walk along the pool with you while you're swimming versus just be one stationary thing where I'll see maybe two strokes. This way I can see everything that you're doing, just walking right alongside, holding the video. If you would do that, that would be helpful. And here's the rule. If you can't see you swim, I can't either. So if you send me a crappy video and you can't see yourself swimming, I can't either. Every now and then I have to send back to people like, can you see yourself doing anything in here? Because I can't either. So it's very helpful if you have a buddy film you. And then send your buddies too. You can film each other. Let's see. All right. Well, I'm going to get started on this A game article, have that thing pumped out here in the next hour or so. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Send me some CSS videos, and we are done. Have a good one.